Welcome to another episode of Game Boy Roulette, where we take a look at randomly chosen games from the Game Boy library. Roadsters. I believe the technical term for those is cars. Ah, the humble racing game. Getting from point A to point B the fastest is about as simple of a concept as you can get, but game companies have always found ways to spice the idea up, whether it was playing with the vehicles you're in, shifting perspective, adding some magical realism, or ruining every friendship you've ever had. Racing games have always found a way to shake up the formula, and the Game Boy got in on the racing action with a whole variety of games, many of which we've already looked at. World Circuit Series, Hot Wheels, F1, Dead Heat Scramble, Road Rash. Each of these games took that basic formula of racing and played around with it in an attempt to create their own magic. Roadsters, a game for the Game Boy Color but backwards compatible with the Game Boy, came out for several systems, including the Dreamcast and Nintendo 64. The publisher was the rather infamous Titus Interactive, creators of Superman 64, but each version of the game had its own developer, with the Game Boy Color version made by Genetic Fantasia, who, as far as I can tell, only made this game and literally nothing else. That's a bad sign. But an even worse sign is the fact that no version of this game was that well received, with reviews ranging from bad to below average. So unless Genetic Fantasia was some kind of miracle company that only made one glorious racing game and then vanished into the ether, I really don't have high hopes. But we do have to give some credit for this awesome box art. The sleek, shiny style, the action lines, the cool font, the fact that we're about to get brutally run over and left for dead, it's all what you want out of cover art. Well, maybe not that last one. Who's ready to go on a nice Friday drive? Gas up for Roadsters. Ooh, Roadsters Trophy. Look at that shiny logo. Music is very quiet, though. Like, the drums are really, really loud, but everything else about it is super quiet. I'm definitely English. Oh, man. Look at that cool guy. Oh, select driver. Tanya, Chloe, Marvin, Tanya, Chloe, and Marvin. I'm gonna pick Marvin because they look like they have a built-in helmet. Let's go to the garage. You can repair. Oh, God, what was that? Shop? I'm just going to assume this is an emulator issue. This is just a very loud tone. Let's go here. Fee, get in, police, weather. Please no. Oh, it's one of these kind of racing games. These are just like, they're a dime a dozen, honestly. You have the moving lines to signify speed. You have some cones, you have the car. At least the engine sound is not bad. I'll say that. That's the nicest thing I'm prepared to say. Oh, hang on. I have an enemy up there. Nice looking background. Wait a sec. I'm suddenly getting a very, very weird sense of a deja vu. And there's the cops. Wait a minute. This is practically identical to Lamborghini Challenge. Like, suddenly I'm remembering even the tone was the same for the shop. Ooh, that is cacophonous. Goal! Okay, give me a minute. I need to check something just to make sure I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy! This game is literally Lamborghini American Challenge. It's the same interface, it's the same graphics, it's the same style of gameplay. It's the same horrible tone in the garage. And to make matters more confusing, there's another Roadsters game for Game Boy and Game Boy Color, also made by the same company. What is going on here? Hang on, this is gonna require some more research. Okay, so, as far as I can make heads or tails of this, there's a game called Roadsters. It is identical to a Lamborghini American Challenge. It came out on Game Boy Color. There is also a game called Roadsters that's made by the same company, but it's a top-down racing game. There's multiple Roadsters, all made by the same company? Hang on, let's just add to the confusion. Let's switch straight to the Game Boy Color version. Logo is still shiny. Whoa! Wow, that is cool looking. Okay, so it really is identical to Lamborghini American Challenge. It runs a little better on the Game Boy Color. But now I want to know what the story behind this game is. Yeah, so gameplay-wise, we've reviewed this one before. But there's so much. Hang on. You know what? I'm gonna check what's the other Roadsters game like. Roadsters 98, and the ident screen for that one also said Titus and whatever their company name was. Oh, it's top-down, yeah. And there's a voice. And a quote-unquote color, and it's, oh god, surprisingly generic. I'm stuck. Oh, that's a wall, no wonder. I thought that was painted on the ground. Man, I am confused! Okay, we're gonna do something a little bit different. The post-gameplay part, the wrap-up that I usually do, rather than focus on if the game is good or not, I'm gonna focus on what the hell is going on here. Because frankly, this game apparently has a lot more happening for it than I thought. Also, god, this music. Like, the series seems to have good music, and then suddenly it's either screeching or just loud tones. Alright everyone, strap in. I've gone down the rabbit hole of this game, and we've got a lot to talk about. Let's start with the obvious. We've played this game before. This wasn't just similar to Lamborghini American Challenge, this was Lamborghini American Challenge, only with slightly different characters and maps. So Titus took a game that they had already released, gave it a minor coat of paint, and re-released it. Which of course begs the question, where does Genetic Fantasia come into all this? Why are there 2 Roadsters games floating around on the Game Boy, yet official lists only show 1? Why was one of them just a copy of a previous game? What the heck is going on here? I've done some research and I think I've figured it out. In 1998, Titus tasked Genetic Fantasia, a very small company, with creating a racing game called Roadsters. Genetic Fantasia put together a game, a very basic one, but one that was still playable, which is the top-down game that we all saw that lacked features. But before development went any further, it was cancelled. Yes, the version of Roadsters we played by Genetic Fantasia was actually an unreleased prototype for the game, which does explain the significant lack of any kind of extra gameplay modes or progression. However, Titus still had the name Roadsters and now a gap in their release schedule, and with the Roadsters IP actually using licensed car manufacturers such as Mitsubishi and Alfa Romeo, they had to do something with it, and so to save themselves, they went back to their past. They simply took the old game Lamborghini American Challenge, changed a few graphics, gave it some color, admittedly added that really awesome looking 3D cutscene, and released it as Roadsters for the Game Boy Color. Lamborghini American Challenge was a good game for the time, but with 6 years having passed and the world of gaming evolving rapidly, they might as well have been chiseling the game on stone tablets. Roadsters was massively behind the times and was a critical flop, and yet all the databases of Game Boy games list this game as made by Genetic Fantasia, making it seem like they were at fault rather than Titus. So there you have it, the fascinating story of Roadsters, one that I'd never even heard of before I was playing it. The released Roadsters game is fine, but definitely outdated. Of course it was, because it had been made 6 years prior. It's not much of a game, but boy does it make for an interesting tale in the world of gaming. And hey, the story could be weirder. It's not like there's a third Roadsters game only in Japan. Yeah, about that. And that's all for another episode of Game Boy Roulette. Make sure to like the video, comment, and subscribe to follow the series as we continue to dig through the Game Boy vault. I'm Brian J, and I'll see you next time.